Very good. We'll call the meeting to order. And we'll have the roll, please.
Mr. Evans.
Here.
Mrs. Grant.
Here.
Mr. Mullen.
Here.
Mrs. Lee. Here. Mrs.
Here. And Ryan is, we had a conversation with our lawyer, Amy Goodson. And we thought that it would be nice for you to see her and meet her online. I said we wouldn't hold her for very long because I explained to Jackie today that she's going to be coming to one of our meetings and handling the board training.
Hi, Amy.
So that you don't need to do it online.
Going
Be a little more efficient, Amy. So we thought this would work out very well.
Hi.
So Amy, yeah, we'll introduce ourselves as we, we could, Ryan, we can just group together, can't we?
I think everybody's in the screen right now.
See you all.
Oh, okay, okay, that's fine.
Kelsey there.
Kelsey and I are on the side.
See the five of you, so.
Very good. Well, this is Amy Goodson, and Amy is our new legal counsel, and this is our board. I'll let people introduce themselves, and I'm Jean Smith.
I'm Ken Edwards.
Hello, Israel Palomo.
Hello, Dora Grant.
Hello, Jacqueline Sully.
Hi, everybody. Good to meet you. I do recognize you from the website, so it'll take me a minute to get names with faces exactly, but good to meet you. I'm pleased to be here this evening, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity to help your school and anything that you need. Jean may have told you that I've already been working a bit with Kelsey and her and Ryan, so I think we're off to a good start, but I'm certainly here to help you with whatever you need.
Very good. When in our meeting with Kelsey and Ryan and myself, we went through some of the history with Amy, so she's aware of some of the transitions that we've made. We talked about where our school is now, and Ryan also sent to her the agreement that we have with the Ohio Department of Education, as well as our educational model that we had developed for them. So I feel like she's learning us and we're learning her, and it worked out really well. So Amy, I explained to the board that you had said you'd be willing to come and do a board training for us.
Absolutely,
face
just let me know when, we'll get it on the
face to
calendar,
face.
coordinate schedules, you know, if you wanna tie it into before or after a board meeting, or you want it to be at a different time, just let me know.
Okay, very good. Very good. Does anyone have any specific questions or anything for you?
Don't, I wish I would have known, but I'm just kidding. I wouldn't have had any good questions anyway, so it's nice to meet you though.
I've never gotten.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already done a sort of preliminary interview, and I understand you all watched the video and things, so I think we had answered a lot of in-depth questions. I will just say that I did already speak to Brian DeSantis, council board your sponsor. He and I do have a long working relationship together, so you know, he certainly presented that your sponsor is very supportive, and I think we're going to be able to get some of the goals done that you know, we talked about initially. I don't want to go into detail now, but he and I do work well together, and he seems very supportive of you know, maybe getting some things a little bit more equitable for your school, combating some of the competitive things that may be of concern. So I'm putting my thinking cap on that right now, get used to some of the agreements that I saw, and then I'll bounce some ideas around with Brian, and then of course circle back to you all on that before we would do anything. But I feel cautiously optimistic that maybe we can make some improvements.
Very good. So that would be really nice, because we went through our payment schedule with Amy and thought that maybe there might be room for some renegotiating given our track record of the last year or so. So we're hopeful that we can do that.
Yeah, and just to stay on that, you know, I tend to take a, you know, catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar approach to things, and that's very much where I'm leaning towards with this now, to just say, look what Townsend has done, look at the straight and narrow path they've been on, look at all the successes they've had, they've adhered to this agreement. However, you know, is this, you know, using the example of a student, I mean, is this still the appropriate disciplinary plan for this, you know, considering we've proven we now are on the right track and we know what to do. And so I think there may be some room to wiggle in that regard because of your successes. So as of now, that's my thought on the approach, but I'll hammer that out in more detail in the coming weeks. So.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
So good to see everybody.
All right.
Meeting you in person, like I said, just let me know what you're thinking on that training. No real hurry from a legal perspective, because as you know, you're now flipped into the new fiscal year, so you really have until June 30th. Don't wait that long though, however, but so let me know what works with your schedule and we'll get it booked.
All right, very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for your
Bye-bye.
time, Amy.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as it has been submitted to us? Moved by Dora, is there a second? Second by Jackie. We have the roll, please.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee. Yes. Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Mr. Paloma,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes. Now I would like to entertain, since Dora and I have completed our 3-year term, and we both have said we'd be willing to continue that way. That 2026 looks a long time. However, that being said, is there a motion to appoint myself as governing authority board member for another term to July 31st, 2026?
Second.
Moved by Dora, seconded by Ken. And we'll have the roll, please.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Mr. Paloma,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee. Yes. Mrs. Smith.
Yes. And then we have a motion to appoint Dora as a governing authority, board member for another 3-year term. Is there a motion to approve that action? Jackie, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ken. We'll have the roll, please.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Mr. Paloma,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes,
Mrs. Grant.
Yes.
thank you. We move now to election of officers. What? Oh, it's just. We'll move on to election of officers. Maybe that was a sign. Is there a nomination to president?
I nominate Dean Smith.
Dean Smith, nominated by Kent. Are there any other nominations?
Don't believe so.
Is there a motion to approve the nomination for Dean Smith for president?
Second.
Dora and Kent? We'll have the roll, please.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Mr. Paloma,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee. Yes. Mrs. Smith.
Yes, well, thank you for that vote of confidence.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And now I'll entertain nomination for vice president. I nominate. Okay, Israel's been nominated. Israel, do you accept that nomination?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Israel. It's been nominated by Dora. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve Israel as vice president? So moved by Jackie. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Dora. We'll have the roll, please.
Mrs. Lee. Yes. Mrs. Grant.
Yes.
Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes,
Mr. Paloma.
Yes.
congratulations.
Somebody had.
Got me by surprise on that one.
Yeah. I'll move on to the appointment of board liaison positions. Quite honestly, I wasn't intending to change any of those. If you guys are willing to accept the nominations as you have them in the past, where Jackie, you would be finance. I would be willing to continue with legislative unless someone else wants that. Personnel, I would have you continue Israel. professional development, I have you continue, Dora. And for the sponsor, Ken, would you be willing to accept that? All right, so is there a motion to approve those appointments for board liaison? Moved by Israel, is there a second? Second by Dora. We'll have the roll, please.
Mr. Paul,
Yes.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Edwards.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes. Very good. Now, before we move to a resolution to set regular meeting dates, I wanted to discuss this just a little bit more. So you see that for August 15th and September 29th, that we would have the meeting set at 6 o'clock, and that was something we had talked about before. After that time, we would move to 7 p.m. until later in the spring. What I had wondered was, we had talked about when it begins to get dark earlier, moving those meetings up to an earlier time, not necessarily in October, but perhaps in November. And I didn't know if how that would work for Israel and Kent. I've talked to Dora and Jackie about it. The thing that was favorable about having those meetings at, let's say, 4 o'clock even, and I didn't know if you could make a 4 o'clock, is something as early as that, is then our school personnel don't have to go home and then come back or stay here and wait a long time. But I also don't want to interfere with family time and things that you have scheduled as well. So let's have a little discussion around this before we would approve this resolution.
It's 4 o'clock, is that, what was the early?
It was 5
Was
o'clock.
it 5?
It was 5, and Dora's job position is changing a bit, right, Dora?
Yes.
So 4 o'clock would be possible. And I thought that would maybe present less conflict for you guys in terms of the athletics. If we did something as early as 4, and we would start that in November.
I feel like it's doable for me. I would just
Yeah,
from work, from work, whatever.
yeah,
you know.
absolutely, and that would be understandable. How about for you, Ken?
I mean, the November board meeting is up in the air at Harvest. Then December and Friday.
Would be okay.
Do better for our athletic events for 8th grade. Our older ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Okay, so let's look at this then. So for August, September, October, let's say 6 p.m. for those dates. And you think November 21st is late, is what that is? That we could go to 4, or do you think we just need to keep it at 6? For just November?
Can we keep November at 6?
Yeah. Okay, November at 6. And then December, January, February, March, and April would be at 4. May, June, and July would be at 6. Are we agreeable to that? Are you guys okay?
From a personal standpoint, I like either early or late. I personally like 7 o'clock, 1 or 6. 6 is kind of in the middle range where like it's hard to get something done before that or after that. Whereas if we start at a 7 and we go later, I can get some things done after school. Come to that. Either way, I can or 6 o'clock or 7, but I can get more done if I'm back for 7. That's just personal for me. As opposed to like a six, the six is kind of in the middle of that, you know what I'm saying, if it's hard.
Yeah,
It's harder to get something done.
well, I tell you what, how about if we change November to 4? Let's change November to 4. And we'll keep the other, because by that time, we have evening driving, and that's difficult for a couple of our board members. So you think we could do it for 3 times at 6 o'clock?
Yeah. That's fine.
Just a note too, the October meeting is not the third Tuesday of the month, just because I'm gonna be on, so we did set it at a different date, but I just wanted to make sure that you noted it, just so it would be easy to miss. You know, we always do it for the people.
Right, so on that particular date, we want to be sure to have it in calendars.
Yeah.
Because it's not confirmed.
Did we review those then again?
Yes, so the August, September, and October would be at 6 o'clock. Unless 7 o'clock is, I mean, is 7 o'clock more doable? Is that better for you?
I'm like 26 and a 7.
Is that better, man?
Friday.
Is that? Okay, is that working okay for you guys? Okay. So October, September, August, those are all 6. November, December, January, February, March, April are 4. And then May, June and July. You want those at 7, Brian? Is that what you wanted?
Up to you guys, what works best for you guys?
I don't think it's gonna matter too much at those time of days.
And the people that the planning season there, do you need that to be a later time, like the 7th?
I don't usually plant by April 16th, but that's here.
Okay. So would 7 o'clock be better for May, June and July? For you? Okay, so in May, June and July, we'll go to 7. All right, one more time. August, September, October at 6. November, December, January, February, March, April at 4. May, June, and July at 7. So, okay, that's a good compromise, I think. From you. Very good. All right, could we have a resolution to accept those meeting dates and times? Okay, moved by Dora, is there a second? Second by Israel. Okay, roll please.
Mrs. Grant, Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee. Yes. Mrs. Smith.
Yes. Is there a motion to approve the regular board meetings as submitted by Kelsey to us for January 20? So moved by Jackie, is there a second? Sorry. Seconded by Israel. Okay, roll please.
Mrs. Lee. Yes. Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes. Moving on now to our sponsors report, I wanted the board to be aware of the fact that Steve Keller is no longer functioning as the liaison individual, but that Ed Kurt oftentimes will be at our meetings, or Diane Keegan, Margaret's treasurer, will be at the meetings. They're only required to attend 4 of our meetings. But what Ryan and Ed have worked out is that if they're not able to come, the other person will cover for them. We did have a sponsor meeting on Thursday of last week. Would you want to review just briefly what we talked about?
Yeah. Right, a few days ago. So first of all, there are no significant updates that they have to pass on Steve, other than Steve Keller wanted to thank the board for your cooperation working with you over the past several years, and I believe there's a card last month that was given to them, so he wanted to express his gratitude for that work. So yeah, we met with Margaretta on Thursday morning when we were here, at Margaretta, our building tenant construction. And, I don't have my notes in front of me right offhand, but we did talk about, how we were transitioning lawyers to Amy Goodson. That's one thing we covered. We talked about just getting her up to speed on the history, which we talked about earlier with Townsend. And as Amy said, she did get in touch with Brian DeSantis as well, which is Margaret's representation to get some more familiar background.
We talked about the fact that we needed assurances with busing. So Ryan was going to be in contact with Matt Smith to be sure that we've got all of that happening the way we need to. And one of the things that we talked about was the coordination of a cleaning crew of all of our renovating areas. And as we discussed that, I said, you know, this place really needs, and we all said it really needs a very thorough cleaning, maybe more than what a typical school team would be able to do. So I asked Kelsey if she'd be willing to contact some agencies that could come in and do the cleaning professionally for us. And that would allow the Margaretta group to help us move furniture and utilize their crews that way as opposed to cleaning. I don't know, did you?
Yep, I have an update actually in mind, but.
Okay, and we can wait until we get. to
Okay,
that.
yeah, all right.
Okay. So that was the other thing that we talked about, and certainly the idea of enrollment, you know, trying to do as much as what we could with enrollment over the next year. So is there any?
Since that meeting, Matt Smith did get back to me, said that they're going to try to make 4 routes work that we talked about previously. He has to wait until they bid out the routes in August. Bus drivers to see and verify that they get 4 to take those routes. So I would hope that those routes will be attended.
Good. Anything else, right? I don't think there was anything else. We did let them know when the open house is going to be, and I know Brian's got that coming up with information. So we'll move on to public participation, which I don't anticipate. Because we don't have any public here, but I encourage anyone watching online to be sure to contact myself or one of the other board members or Ryan if you have questions or concerns that need to be brought before us. Moving on to board member liaison reports. Under president's report, I asked Ryan to hold off on this until August, because quite honestly, we haven't sat down and reviewed our progress on our goals that we had for last year with relationship to the one plan that they had done. So I'm gonna hold off on that goal setting until he and I, Kelsey, and some other people have a chance to talk about it, and then I'll be presenting those to you guys for input as well. I think the other under liaison or the legislative report, you see there's been a lot of activity with legislation through the Ohio School Board Association minutes that we've been getting. And the budget is, you know, moving ahead. So right now it looks very favorable for community schools. So I think so far so good as far as the direction we're heading. Did anyone else have any other reports to make under your liaison? Nope. No. Okay, we'll move on to the treasury.
Right. Firstly, I just would like to present that we did get an award from the auditor of state, for excellence in financial reporting for fiscal year 22. Top 8% of schools that agencies audited, so that was very good. That under your report. I didn't feel like I was congratulating myself, but
The award is over there by the candy jars that came in, if you wanna take a look at it later.
In your office, is that where that goes?
I don't know, I guess.
Frame it.
I also do have an update on the professional cleaning services, so I've reached out to a few of the local agencies that I've identified. I haven't gotten a chance to like ask Diane or ask any other local schools for recommendations. We did reach out to Medina for recommendations, Ryan did. We haven't gotten any from them, so I just took the liberty of reaching out to a few that were local.
He was going to get that, because Rick Cole, who's the superintendent of the project here, and this might be as well. Possibly bring some people and help.
Okay,
I did hear back from one company though, and he actually was able to come out today and give me a quote. I do have a quote, he got it delivered for the meeting, so I don't have it printed off. It was around 6,300, but it included all of the like regular cleaning that you would expect, along with deep carpet cleaning and scrubbing of any cement surfaces. I was particularly excited about the cement part because when you see all the dust and everything, my first thought is workman's comp, like somebody slipping. And workman's comp was a nightmare last year, so I would really love to have that peace of mind of a professional cleaning. I did not think the quote was unreasonable for the amount of work to get done. And I was very excited as well. I communicated that we weren't able to get like a hard date just because of the renovation. And he said they'd be very flexible in working with us and making sure it got done before the early houses. So
wonderful. And the ductwork, they would dig into the
Yes,
ductwork
so
as
he-
well?
like inside of that. I didn't know.
No, not necessarily. No, because that would be another 63.
He said they had a certain amount of, like a tool that will get up to a certain height. I don't know how thorough that can be, that can be something we could reach out about further. I told him we'd probably have further questions. And they also won't move heavy furniture, so they'll move light things, that anything heavy, we should move ourselves to give them space. So maybe, I thought maybe if Margaret is not having it come in and clean, they might help us with at least moving furniture
Right.
to get the cleaning done.
I think it's supposed to help improve function back to the rooms at the end of the project. We're going to tell them what goes where and so forth. Again, it won't be free probably as they move that, even though we've got turns.
Right.
Yeah, there's stuff everywhere.
So what we would look for is if we would need to, since that quote, and most quotes are gonna be over 5,000. That Kelsey would need authorization to go ahead and do that. I don't know if we want to handle that tonight in a resolution to authorize. The hiring a professional cleaner, without a quote. Or not, so kind of be thinking about that when we get to new business.
I do think that with our August meeting being such an earlier date, it's the 15th, it might give us enough room to, if we discuss that we were, I don't know, if we knew which one we wanted to go with. And we
We
would
could at
let
least
them
have-
know. Yeah,
I think it might not be a bad idea just to authorize
I don't either.
it under a certain threshold, and then we can come back to the next board meeting with specific.
With this.
So we can at least
I
contact
think-
someone and then, yeah. So next we can move on to our financial reports. I'm gonna start with the one that has the minutes on the front of it. Go ahead and flip past the minutes to our cash reconciliation. We ended the month of June with a balance of $7,363,174.15. And then we can move on to our disbursement summary. There wasn't anything that I felt stood out that needed to be noted. I don't know if anybody has any questions over disbursements or outstanding disbursements. I did want to note on the outstanding disbursements, we had talked previously about that one $5 check that is still outstanding. We do have an unclaimed funds reporting. It's not due till November, but the third week of July is the first week we can do it. So I started on it today and I reached out and just asked about if that was somewhere we could report that. So I think that'll at least be helpful moving forward to know that we've noted it. 'Cause as of right now, it's not looking favorable, but it's gonna get,
Think she lost it.
I don't know.
I would imagine. That's what
I
happened.
could void it and reissue it if that's the case. I haven't been able to get an answer back yet, though,
Okay.
via email or phone. She answered one time, but then when I said that my name was Kelsey, she hung.
Yeah, I have a feeling she lost it.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed about it.
Yeah. Next we've got our spreadsheet for the month. Wasn't anything really, out of the ordinary. Something important I wanted to point out is just that, even after we adjusted our revenue estimates for the year a little bit, we did come in at 115%. So we are over what we estimated, and our expenses did come in below. They came in at 88% for the year. Also, if you look to the very bottom, our total FTE did lower just slightly from the previous month, which we expected with graduations. Are there any questions on the spreadsheet?
So is this what you anticipate we'd be starting the school year with then 400?
Yeah, they usually carry over your June numbers for the first 3 months in July, August, and
Yes.
September, and then they start taking
And then
actual
you'll-
cuts.
This will bring it up.
Right.
Any questions about it? Okay.
Next, we have our July monthly payment, and there is something important to note here. So I caught today, if you go down to the retirement payments, they're significantly lower. So I noticed that today when I was going to post the retirements, and I reached out to STRS and asked about it. And she had replied that it was our first of 2 payments, but I let her know that, as a community school, we only get 1 payment, we don't get 2, so it should be the full amount, and she said that ODE had made an error and sent them a smaller amount. So I'm anticipating that next month, we're gonna have pretty much a true up, and it'll look like even more. Our typical STRS amount is 17,500, somewhere around there. So next month, I'm assuming it's gonna be around like 25,000, just to compensate for this month's low. So just, if our payment next month looks slow, we're anticipating that it might be a surprise or. The next page, I've also included our summary school finance payment. This does give us an estimate for where our yearly amounts are gonna be. If you look on the very right-hand column down to our net state funding, this is before our paybacks to the ODE, but it is at $5,038,000. At June, we came in at $5,018,000, so we're actually projected to be up a little bit from last year. The new funding formula is holding really well. Those are good numbers. We're excited to see us above 5 million. So hopefully as they continue to phase it in, that holds true. There's no questions over that. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. So item D of my report says a resolution to approve Julian and Group to continue to complete gap reporting for the 2023 fiscal year. We've already approved, if you look at the report I included, we actually approved a 3-year agreement back in 2021. So we've already let them know that we'll continue to have that expense, but I just included it regardless, just we approve it every year, so I just continue to include it. The next item is also a resolution to approve the final appropriations and expenditure budget for fiscal year 23. No. What? No, it's the gap reporting is not. So they're reporting on our previous one. Yes, yeah, these are the final expenses that we actually spent and appropriated for fiscal year.
So fiscal year 23 is.
Yes. So appropriations are just what we budget for the year, and then expenditures are what we actually expended. So throughout the year, you go through and adjust your appropriations as expenses come up. Obviously we had things that we didn't plan for that came up. So these are just our final numbers. We're not required to submit these to the county auditor or anything, but I just thought it was helpful to include and let you see.
That A and B is my fault. Should be 2003.
Could you say that again? I can't.
In item D, it should say 2023 that we were talking about before. That was
Yeah.
that was my mistake.
Okay.
The typo there.
Okay.
And the final item of my report is a recommendation to approve the addendum to client agreement with Strategic Management Solutions for funding year 2023 as presented. Funding year 2023 is also correct. The E-rate funding years are always off from the fiscal year. I don't know why. It's very annoying, but that is correct. And this is just what we approve every year for Strategic Management Solutions to help us with our E-rate funding. They help us with all our applications, all the paperwork, just be my bucks in a row, that kind of thing. So this addendum is just our costs that we'll pay.
I would add, item G under new business for the treasurer's report. A recommendation to authorize the hiring of a professional cleaning service not to exceed $10,000.
That's only if you're using federal funds. So we're not.
Is there a motion to approve items A through G of the treasurer's report? Moved by Kent, seconded by Julie. We have the roll, please.
Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Mrs. Grant, Mr. Palumbo,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes. Thank you, Kelsey. Your award is well earned.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well deserved. All right, let's move on to our superintendent's report.
Okay, to start with, we'll take a look at the enrollment breakdown in your folder. So we've had 98 graduates for the school year. We've got a little bit of time here to still get a couple more possibly. But our enrollment is at 484 students. You can see the breakdown there. And we have quite a few pending enrollments that are going to be taking place at the end of July through the end of August. I think we're somewhere around 30 or 40 at least right now that are waiting enrollment. That number will pick up here in time.
And I remember from being at the open house, that enrollments at the open house occur to be sure. But are we trying to move those along so there aren't so many at the open house?
Yeah. We're trying to, as soon as we get the front area of the building, we're gonna try to get. We've also talked about the coffee shop to get some of those going.
Great,
As well as the artisans in the contest as well.
that'd be great. Move that along.
Yeah. So we do anticipate starting the year off at over 500 students again.
Good,
Secondly, an update on the construction project. We're about a solid 2/3 of the way through the project right now. And if anybody would like to walk through the building after this, we'd like to take you through the building to see where we're at. So most of the walls they have up, they have the bullet resistant layer in there. They have the drywall over top. And they're probably gonna start painting this coming week, a lot of the walls. Door frames are in and the doors should be coming in any day for them to install. So they have a deadline of August 18th, but talking yesterday to Rick Cole, he would really like to finish that project, the whole project by the end of the first week of August, actually, which will put it 2 weeks ahead of schedule. He's trying to get it done earlier to give us more time to clean the building and get things ready. So they're right on track. Everything's going extremely well. And then thirdly, I'm going to add this one C, the topic of a therapy dog. So Leslie Gaynor is our new guidance counselor this year. She's hired through North Point ESC through the grant that we've received for 5 years with the other area schools. And it just so happens that Leslie has, I believe it's a golden retriever. She has a dog named Haley who has been going through therapy training school. And I think the dog has a few more months left. And she is a big believer in the benefits for students that a therapy dog brings. And there's a document that she shared with me that I will forward in an email later on with some of those benefits. But I just wanted to get the board to have some discussion and start thinking about if that's something the board would support. Having a therapy dog.
I'm not for it. I'm not for it.
people that are afraid of dogs, I'll be honest. That's the only concern I have. And we all think that everybody just loves dogs, and I'm sure it's a great dog. I have no issue. The fact that we would have bring something in, I'm on the fence. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's just a golden retriever, right?
I believe it is, I've got to double check on this.
They got tons of hair. I know custodians did the last dog. But they had more potty training issues and stuff like hair. I don't know, I just, and then we had the one lawsuit, wasn't it against us, the dog, took over the dog.
No, it was, no, it was, it cost us money.
Yeah, I don't know, the liability having a dog, I don't. I just see liability issues. There are good things that have. I know.
Okay.
Everybody has anything. I'm definitely, I will not dispute that, but I am not. I would, I might understand, because I know you had their dogs still being, you know, and the reaction from the kids because of the focus. So I think if we had just an area, we were gonna keep, you know, have it all go, that's what we needed. It worked out well, but just a lot of dogs roaming around, you know.
I think it would be very structured in terms of the use of the dog. First of all, be licensed. I know we had issues with the dog in the past, a few years ago. But again, this dog is going to be trained therapy dog. A lot of the schools have gone to this, have bring in a dog at Mark Rabbit, that's the people in the dog. For students who are having some mental health issues, there's some mental health. But I do see the concerns as well, which is why I'm bringing it to the board for discussion. Maybe what I can do is share the document that Leslie has shared, and then we can ponder it over the next month and maybe come back to it.
And let's revisit, Jackie wasn't on the board at the time, I don't think, when we did the policy, our service dog policy. Let's reopen,
Share that.
with the board also, so.
We had a certified therapy dog in my previous position.
David, I can't hear you.
We had a certified therapy dog in my previous job. The dog was confined with a lot of things that kids had. We wasn't just alcohol. They had kids had one. It did help some kids. But the dog was rarely anywhere other than. I mean, they're trained, they're like, they're almost like police dogs. They're very reactive. It's not just, you know, your dog and the cops.
Right. And quite honestly, that's what we had experienced. The dog that was here had gone through training, no question about it, and was certified. But the dog roamed much of the building.
There was a lot, that wasn't the line with that dog.
Yeah.
That wasn't a lot in my previous position, they had to say it.
Yeah.
The kids had to seek the dog out, the dog wasn't walking around.
Yeah.
One of the things, two things that just came to my mind is one, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be every day, right? Like maybe there could be a set day, and that way you think, well, it's live, they all do it, let's say it's every Wednesdays, we did it quarterly, and I don't know. At least maybe even start in that way and then progress as we get more comfortable with it. But two, something to also think about, is she gonna be going to alternate locations? Because we've talked extensively about keeping the 3 locations as equitable as possible. So that's just one of the things that came to my mind as well.
Yeah, that's a good.
Are there other alternatives that we can look at? Besides having a dog?
Well, I'm sure this counselor is interested in using the dog. I'm sure that's what's prompting it. We already do have a number of different things, like there's a room, a sensory room that's been created. That individuals can go to calm down and, you know, listen to nice music or lighting to be good.
Counselor through family health services, plus our 2 family liaisons.
Yeah.
Area are
how about if we get that information out to the board? And, maybe have some more discussions about that and see where it takes us.
I think another concern would be allergies. Yeah. Everybody has an allergy to whatever anymore, they just would think that a golden retriever is not hypoallergenic.
Let me double check, make sure it's. I think it is, let me double check.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
You hear our concerns.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Do we have any students right now using service dogs?
That are bringing them in the building.
Yeah.
Okay, are we okay to go on to new
Yeah.
business? All right, under new business, item A is a resolution to approve the awarding of high school diplomas to the following students: Chase Brumbaugh, Jesus Garcia, and Ileana Barlow. Item B is a resolution to waive the reading of minutes with understanding that such minutes will be distributed to members prior to the date of each meeting for the 23-24 school year. This is something that we approved in July along with one or two of the following items here. Item C is a resolution authorizing the treasurer to invest interim funds for the 23-24 school year. Item D is a resolution to approve, or excuse me, authorize the treasurer to pay bills provided that the funds are available and report monthly to the board of directors those bills that were paid for the 23-24 school year. Item E is a resolution to authorize the superintendent to approve or disapprove of applicants or applications for professional meeting leave for staff that conform to the established policy or policy that are within the amount appropriated for such activities for the 23-24 school year. Item F is a recommendation to authorize the superintendent to employ such temporary personnel as needed for emergency situations and present to the board for approval and ratification of employment contracts at the next board meeting for the 23-24 school year. Item G is a recommendation to authorize the superintendent and treasurer to act as agents for the board in submitting applications in the management, federal and state grants for the 23-24 school year. And then item H is a recommendation to accept the resignation of science teacher Timothy Roth for the 23-24 school year. We would like to thank Mr. Roth for his 8 years of service here at Townsend. He has accepted a position at Moraine High School as a science teacher. Item I is a recommendation to approve Eric Billings for a 182-day contract for the position of science teacher for the 2023-24 school year at Masters Plus 12, Step 10, at $64,401 and including non-administrative staff and facilities. So we were very fortunate to find a quality applicant for this position this late after July event, because at this point in time, most of the applicants have been offered a position somewhere. Eric comes to us with 32 years of experience in a combination of teaching and administration. He was in Ohio previously, where he worked at Vanguard, and then he was high school principal at South Central, and this is back in the 90s. Then he went to London as assistant principal and athletic director. Then he was out in Kansas as a teacher. So he's filled a lot of roles in education. He's got a lot of experience, and I think he's got a good positive personality, good person that's going to be very beneficial for our students. Item J is a resolution to approve the student handbook for the 2023-24 school year. And our lawyer, Amy Goodson, did go through and thoroughly revise that policy for the handbook for us. And then finally, item K is a resolution to approve participating in provision 2 option of the National School Lunch Program for the 23-24 school year to provide students with free meals for breakfast and lunch.
Is there a motion to approve items A through K of the superintendent's report? Moved by Dora, is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion?
The applicants will be different.
Just one.
Yeah. Was he working last year?
He was working in Kansas through December, and then him and his wife retired. They decided to move back to Ohio to get closer to grandchildren. They've got some here in Ohio and some in New York. So being out in Kansas, they were super far away, so they moved back mid-year. Now he's looking for employment again. He's got about 3 years or so, so I think he's going to look to retire and draw from his retirement from Ohio.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to the roll, please.
Mrs. Grant.
Yes.
Mrs. Slade. Yes. Mr. Edwards.
Yes.
Mr. Palmer.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes. Is there a motion to move into executive session to discuss the compensation of the public employee? Is there a second? We'll have the roll, please.
Mrs. Slade.
Yes.
Mrs. Grant. Yes. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Palmer.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.